Imagine this. Deep inside a museum vault lies an iron axe forged 800 years ago, its edge still sharp, its surface dark, aged but unbroken. No rot, no orange decay. It has survived wars, centuries of damp air, and the slow march of time itself. Now step outside, to your own backyard. There's a modern steel axe you bought just 2 years ago. You touch it, and your fingers come away orange. The blade already flaking with rust. Give it 5 years, and it will be dust. How did we go backwards? How did men with clay furnaces and wooden bellows make iron that can defy 8 centuries, while ours dies before a presidential term ends? The answer is not magic. It's a forgotten chemistry, a lost conversation between man, fire, and ore. A conversation we silenced in our race for convenience. Before we unearth that secret, type "built to last" in the comments if you believe we traded wisdom for speed. Because what you're about to hear may change the way you look at every piece of metal you own. Beat, slow fade to title. Why medieval iron never rusted, and why ours does. To understand it, you have to imagine standing inside a medieval forge. The air thick with smoke, the rhythm of the bellows breathing life into the coals, the iron glowing, alive beneath the hammer. They didn't melt iron, they coaxed it into existence. For hours, sometimes days, they watched the color of the flame, listening for the hiss that told them the carbon was right. Every strike of the hammer folded the metal, pushing out impurities, sealing the surface with a skin of carbon and slag. This wasn't just metalworking, it was ritual, a conversation between man, ore, and fire. Modern steel, by contrast, is born in seconds. Ore is crushed, melted, alloyed, and cast by machines that measure efficiency in tons per hour. We gained speed, but we lost intention. Because those slow medieval processes, the impurities, the layered hammering, even the charcoal smoke, created something our industrial steel forgot. A natural armor, a microscopic barrier that resists corrosion. Their iron didn't just avoid rust, it transformed the surface into a stable, dark oxide that actually protected what lay beneath. Today, when you see a piece of medieval iron, you're not just looking at a relic of the past. You're looking at the result of a chemistry so precise it hasn't been truly replicated in 500 years. And the irony? We had to rediscover it through mistakes, ruins, and a few surviving blades that refused to die. Why medieval iron never rusted, and why ours does. The secret begins with something most blacksmiths never wrote down. Because they didn't measure it. They felt it. They didn't talk about oxidation layers or carbon diffusion. They talked about color. A deep cherry red meant the metal was too soft. A white flame meant it was dying. Somewhere in between, at a dull orange glow. That was where iron became immortal. That glow signaled just enough carbon from the burning charcoal to seep into the outer layers of the metal. Not enough to make steel, but enough to form a thin film of iron carbide and magnetite. A black armor that locked oxygen out. And that black surface, centuries later, is why their blades still look alive. Now, jump to the Industrial Revolution. Iron became a business, not a craft. We smelted faster, hotter, and cleaner. We removed the slag, the very impurities that once protected it. We standardized everything because uniformity made mass production possible. But uniformity came at a cost. Modern iron and steel are chemically pure, and purity rusts. It offers no resistance, no carbon film, no self-sealing layer. So we paint, coat, and galvanize, fighting a battle that medieval blacksmiths quietly won centuries ago. Here's the paradox. Those blacksmiths didn't even know what oxidation was. But by working slowly, intuitively, they built metals that behaved like modern alloys. And the proof? It's scattered across old cathedrals and castles. Ancient nails holding oak beams, hinges still turning after 500 winters. When scientists examined them under microscopes, they found something astonishing. A nanometer-thin layer of magnetite formed naturally in the heat of the forge, stable, inert, and nearly impossible to recreate artificially. That layer was their secret coating, one that nature built for them, because they gave it time. Today, researchers are trying to bring that secret back. From heritage metallurgy labs in Germany to nanomaterials teams in Japan, scientists are studying those medieval samples, trying to mimic the same slow diffusion in modern furnaces. The goal? To make steel that doesn't just resist rust, but stops it forever. And maybe, just maybe, to remind us that progress isn't always about speed. Sometimes it's about patience, the kind our ancestors had in the glow of a forge. When you touch a piece of medieval iron, you're not just holding metal. You're touching time. Time slowed down, folded, and sealed beneath the skin of the Earth's oldest craft. Imagine this: a world where nothing was disposable. A single hammer could outlive its maker. A single nail could survive empires. And every strike of the forge wasn't just work. It was a promise. Because medieval tools weren't cheap. They were the equivalent of a month's wages, sometimes more. You didn't throw them away. You protected them with oil, with care, with respect. Each one was an heirloom, and every mark on the handle told a story. Today, we call that sentimental value. Back then, it was just survival. Now, think about the tools in your own garage. The garden shears that rust after 2 seasons. The shovel that bends. The axe head you replaced instead of repairing. That's not an accident. That's the system, designed for speed, efficiency, and planned obsolescence. We tell ourselves it's progress, that the old ways were primitive. But maybe the blacksmith who spent 3 days forging one blade understood something we've forgotten. That durability is a kind of wisdom. The chemistry of permanence wasn't lost because it stopped working. It was abandoned because it was slow. It didn't fit into assembly lines, quarterly profits, or next year's model. So we chose convenience. And in doing so, we gave up a kind of immortality. But here's the twist. We're starting to rediscover it. Scientists, archaeologists, and metallurgists are reverse engineering medieval iron to build bridges, turbines, even spacecraft alloys that can heal themselves when scratched, just like ancient patinas did. We're returning, unknowingly, to what the old blacksmiths already knew, that imperfection, when understood, can be strength. The medieval forge wasn't a factory. It was a dialogue between human hands and elemental fire, between time and transformation. And when they shaped iron, they didn't just make tools, they made trust. So the next time you see rust spreading across something you own, remember this: there was a time when even rust was beautiful, because it meant the metal beneath was still alive. That's not nostalgia, that's chemistry. And maybe a reminder that the things built to last often come from the patience to make them slowly. We didn't lose the secret of eternal iron. We just stopped listening to it. If this story opened your eyes, hit that like button, not for the algorithm, but because knowledge like this deserves to live as long as the iron itself. And in the comments, tell me, what other forgotten technologies should we uncover next? Because the past isn't just history. Sometimes it's the blueprint we lost.